So we've got another book box that may take a little bit of time. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from The Cozy Crow, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are opening the book box from Yarnaceous Fibers for the first book of Crescent City. This is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I am really excited about this book box because I have been anticipating reading this absolute tome for a long time. I am still reading Throne of Glass. I'm about 250 pages into Kingdom of Ash. I know there's a lot more to go, but I'm in the very last book of that series. And I wasn't necessarily planning on reading the Crescent City series next from Sarah J. Maas, but I'm really excited that this book box almost lines up with me finishing one Sarah J. Maas series and moving into another. I will probably be working on Kingdom of Ash as well, but this vlog is about my experience reading the first Crescent City book and opening this book box from Yarnaceous Fibers. If you've not been around for my other book box vlogs, there are some indie dyers that dye yarn and put together goodies that are related to a book. And as you read through that book, on certain pages, you will be prompted to open packages or open yarn that coordinates with what's happening in the book at that time, which is such a fun idea. It's like having your own little advent or countdown calendar experience while reading a book. It's great motivation to keep reading and working towards what's in the next package. And today we are opening Yarnaceous Fibers' latest book box. In preparation for this book box, I have downloaded the ebook on my Kindle because I am not carrying around this 800-page book with me in order to read. I've also downloaded part 1 of the dramatic audiobook. It will have, I think, a full cast of characters and maybe even some sound effects, which should be really fun. The second half was expired from my library, so hopefully it will be renewed so that I can then borrow it. We shall see. So I am ready to get started on this book, have a multimedia experience reading this book because it'll take me a while to get through, I think. Before we start reading, let's jump into the box and see if there are any loose goodies, and I can kind of show you what kind of packages we will be opening in the future. Ooh, fun! Oh, I guess this is still part of the package, chapter 25. But it's not in a separate package, so you know what this is. Dill pickle pretzel sticks. That actually sounds really good. Oh, I think this is one of those like little boxes that forms. This says, "My friends are with me and I am not afraid." Oh my gosh, why can't I get this? Ah! We can see it in tray form. Fun to kind of throw some loose bits. I can keep this on my table. Love it. Here are our packages. We've got quite a few. It feels like maybe this is yarn, and we've got a couple small ones that might be mini skeins. Chapter 10, 14, 15, 22, 25 is the pretzels, but maybe I'll open those earlier because they smell delicious. Chapter 50, chapter 59, and chapter 79. So we've got a nice little spread here, and it seems like a lot of the yarn will be opened fairly early on, which will be great. This pattern is by Julianne Knitter. I'm assuming it's socks, but Julianne also designs other things too. I'm so excited that I can have like an immersive experience reading this book, especially because it's so long. So I'm excited to get started and take you along with me. Let me know down below if you've read this book already and what you think of these surprises as I open the packages.
Waking up, it's gone. It leaves us feeling cold again. Picking up the stones our hands were made to feel. And moments like these, they show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing. We've got us. 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 Yes!
Hello. Thought I would do an update on Crescent City, or Excuse me, this book is called House of Earth and Blood, which is referring to humans, shifters. They are in a different category, as well as the really like spooky things like necromancers and vampires and stuff like that. Oh, there's also a house for watery things like mer people and nymphs and yada yada. I am making great progress, actually. I am at the very start of part 2, which is the trench, on page 91, 92, somewhere in there. So I'm getting really close to being able to open the first package. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this book. I came in with zero expectations, except I had heard that there's a lot of world building compared to Sarah J. Maas's other series. I'm almost done with the Throne of Glass series. It was an easy read, and I think that's partly Sarah J. Maas's writing style, that it's not this like really obscure hard fantasy that like you need a glossary for. And I would say even though this book has a lot more terms and it's a very different situation fantasy story-wise compared to the other series I've read of hers, I do feel like this is still a really easy read. And what's different about this series is it takes place in a modern day world. So they talk about having like cell phones and like going out clubbing and things like that, and like having pizza parties and whatnot. But everything has this fantasy element to it. People have more fantastical types of jobs. I think that the main character, Bryce, if I understand correctly, works as like an assistant to a sorceress type of thing, and I don't know exactly what she does, some kind of gallery. It hasn't been super important so far in the book. I was like 30 or 40 pages in and like nothing had necessarily happened for the plot. We were still kind of getting to know the characters. I looked at the back cover and I learned that something big happened, and then maybe like 20 or 30 pages later that something big happened, almost like whiplash. Like I knew it was coming, but it was just so gruesome and grotesque, and it really like caught me off guard. And so now we're kind of getting into the story, and I don't really know what's happening next and kind of the whole arc of this thing. Now that it's been almost 2 years, I think, since this horrible thing has happened, I want to see kind of how she has adjusted and where she's going from here. If anything has changed with the conflicts that have already been mentioned a little bit or alluded to in the series. It's a really easy read, but it is a very different feel from Throne of Glass. And so that's been kind of fun to get into this. I am doing the graphic audio, and the graphic audio is different than any other audio that I've done, and it's been really fun actually. I have noticed that it's not word for word what's happening in the book, this graphic audio, because anytime it says she panted or she let out a howl or I don't know, like things like that, instead of saying those words, you'll actually hear the noise, and you'll hear background noise, and you'll hear like a phone buzzing, and there's a full cast of characters, and the narrator themselves sounds like a different voice than even like the main character Bryce that we're learning about. So that was really fun to listen to. I don't like that even though in the Kindle book my words and my chapters and everything match up perfectly with the physical copy that I'm kind of following along with my bookmark, in the graphic audio, it's not doing that. And so it'll say the chapter is like an hour long, but it doesn't coincide with the actual chapters in here. So I've had to pay more attention with where I'm stopping and starting in the audiobook so that I know where to follow along in my Kindle. And that's been actually really fun to switch between mediums for this read, especially with something so long. And so I did a chunk of listening last night, and I read like a chapter and a half right before bed on my Kindle as I had like the lights down low and was ready to go to sleep. And I think I might read on my Kindle. I'm really close to getting to the first package so that I can open that package right when I get to those lines. And if I still want to read, I might switch to the audiobook at that point so that I can get some chores done around the house, maybe do some knitting. Alfred is feeling very snuggly. I'm making good progress, and I'm excited to keep going and see where this story goes. If you're interested in starting a fantasy series that is finished, it seems like this one is finished. The third book came out, I think, earlier this year or really late 2023. I can't quite remember. But this world isn't necessarily finished. So kind of like her other series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, like the actual series is finished, but more stories within that part of the universe can continue on, and you can learn more about other characters. And so I know there's some books alluded to eventually coming out. I think that this series is just a trilogy that's all-encompassing, if I understand correctly. So if you're interested in a finished series, I think this might qualify. All right, time to open package number 1. Chapter 10, page 117. Like the gleam of the first stars at nightfall. Someone that's maybe like a contract killer or like indentured servant type of assassin is looking for Bryce for some reason. This feels like a skein of yarn just through the package. Oh, this is called Nightfall. This color's really pretty. It's not quite a navy blue. It's a little bit less saturated. And it came with this cute little this cute little stitch marker. Maybe there's 2 slippable stitch markers on there. They're like little stars. Cute. This is the Salta fingering base, a 50-gram skein. And we have a pattern. I'm covering up the coupon code so you don't see. The Crescent Socks by Julie Le Boutelier. Ooh, I don't know if I'm saying that right. But this is Julia Knitter of Twin Stitches Designs. Oh, this is just like all the beginning info, so I'm not ready to start knitting, which is probably good because I don't have any free sock needles. I should probably get that ready before I get too far in this book so I can cast on the socks right as soon as I am able to. But it looks like this pattern is cuffed down in the box, but it is also toe up in the digital pattern. The pattern is available right now to purchase, so make sure to link that down below for y'all. I want to cast on and get started. I am working on a sock design for an advent box that I am helping out with for Sarah of Dying Wishes Yarn Co. So I do have my knitting that I'm working on, but I cannot show it at the moment. So I'm really excited for when I can start working with this. So pretty. There's actually 3 of these cute little stitch markers.
His left ankle is bruised, taking happiness for granted. Mistakes happen, you and I will learn. And moments like these days show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing.
Syrinx's tail waved and bobbed.
You're a smart beastie, aren't you?
He threw a scornful glance to Bryce.
Smarter than your owner, it seems.
Make that the king of alpha holes.
And still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've got.
Okay, I'm on page 170 right now. I'm making really good progress and I'm having such a fun time. The way that this is written kind of reminds me of the Hades and Persephone saga. The book that was a couple book boxes ago, A Touch of Darkness, is the first in this series by Scarlett St. Clair. And it's just like really easy to read, really fun, a super fast read, even though it's like 800 pages. So if it's 800 pages, it needs to be a fun and fast read, right? It needs to be approachable so that you don't feel like you're slogging through it. I don't understand a lot of the background and the lore. There's a lot of terms that honestly a glossary would be helpful to like really dive in and learn a lot more. But the way that all of this information is introduced in the book is really superficial and it just kind of like drops things here and there. It feels like a lot of these details don't matter a ton yet. And so it's okay that I only have a general sense of what's going on. I don't know, there's lots of terms that I have a very minimal understanding of, but I have enough of an understanding that I can understand basically what's happening. And I think that I will learn more nuance and details as I continue reading and just enjoying being in this world. Unlike a lot of hard fantasy where if you don't understand the terms, you're totally lost and you're like, wait, who is that person again? Wait, what race is that? I don't even know. So I'm not feeling as stressed about this as I would about other books. Like I remember I read When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and that one, for the first like 50 or 100 pages, I was very lost and I kept having to refer to the glossary because I had zero idea of what was happening. This one, I feel like I am understanding the characters really well. I feel like I have enough of an understanding of the lore of this world that I'm enjoying the characters and I know that more details will come. Other people might feel a little bogged down by all those terms, but I'm just rolling with it and I feel like I know enough of what's going on that it's been still a really fun time. I have some yarns and I have not seen any pattern pieces with instructions, and so I don't know if I am waiting for that, or if I should just download the pattern since I have the coupon code to get it for free from Julia Knitter. Maybe I'll get ready to start the Crescent City socks, but I'm gonna listen to a little bit more because I'm just enjoying myself right now. Hello, it is another day and it is nice and gloomy outside. I'm wearing some cozy clothes. I'm ready for fall. I have not run into the pattern officially other than like the main intro page of like gauge and yada yada yada. I was getting a little impatient. I decided that I was just going to download it already and get it in my Ravelry library and take a look at the pattern so I could hopefully start casting on. I downloaded the pattern. I cannot show you on the screen because it is a big spoiler and they've already released the colors. I have been too slow on this box, so I had a little bit of the colors spoiled, and I did have the design spoiled too because I happened upon it before I had started this box, which is like a little bit of a bummer. But if I had started this box right when I got it in the mail, then it wouldn't have been that case, but it is what it is. I am really excited to dive right in and start winding up my yarns for this. And so let's take a look at the pattern. The name has changed compared to what's in the box information. It is the Crescent Shadows pattern by Twin Stitches Designs. This is the colorwork sock pattern, which makes sense because I already have multiple minis to go with it. It looks like this pattern might give a lot of flexibility in like choosing your motifs. So let's take a look and see what's here. Okay, as a refresher, I have my main color, but I only have 2 minis. So I might not be able to get very far in this pattern because it says there are 5 contrast colors. Yeah, so I have a few more to open. So maybe I should just continue on with the book and then I will return to this pattern once I have all my colors. Okay, so we're gonna put a pause on this and we are going to continue reading, and I guess I'll be knitting on something else while I'm reading more of the book and hopefully running across more of these cute minis. I am hanging out in the chair, enjoying some cozy time at least. If I can't cast on, I can read. I've marked where I am in my physical copy of the book. I'm on about page 209, it looks like. I have something to open on page 241 related to Rune. I am a fan of Rune. I like him. I don't know, I'm just getting good vibes from him. And then on page 258, so I think these will be the next things I get to open, the dill pickle pretzel sticks. That'll be a fun snack. So I'm hoping to get through those 2 while I am weaving in ends on this test knit. These are the, can't remember their name, by Jamie Lomax. It's another doodle pattern, so like the dino doodles or something like that. Just use a bunch of scraps. I've got to weave in ends and do a little bit of duplicate stitching, so I'm gonna do that while I listen to the book and hopefully get to open these packages and get closer to finding all of the mini skeins I need so I can actually start the sock pattern.
Still we've got so painful, the scar.
All right, we are on page 258 and it is time to open our dill pickle flavored pretzel sticks. So I figured I could snack while I just chat with you a little bit. But before we do, I wove in some of the ends. I've made some good progress. I've got them all done on the leg. These pretzels are by Pop Daddy. Bryce is having a really bad day. Partly because Hunt set her up for not having a good day. Not on purpose, but he didn't realize how traumatized she was by the thing that had happened in the past. And so they're at the club, the White Raven, and he just ordered her some food. And of course she is like, don't be so aggressive, masculine, ordering my food for me. I know when I want to eat, blah, 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 blah. She's not in a good mood. I think it's cute that he ordered something that he knew she would like based on the smells that he picks up from her takeout bags. Let's give these pretzels a try. They smell like pickles. That is weird. I mean, I should have expected it. I got the vinegar. They are good. I will be snacking on these a little bit while I tell you about this book. This book is more of a mystery than I anticipated because Bryce was just kind of continuing on with her life, traumatized, trying to forget, etc. Of course, it's not working. And then Hunt found her and wanted her to help in this investigation because the horrible creature that caused the experience at the beginning of the book, mild spoiler, kills her best friend. The creature the demonic creature that no one's ever seen before had started killing again 2 years later. And so they thought that Bryce might A, be a suspect, or B, be able to give them some insider information related to Danica to help them find out what this creature is, who unleashed it, how they can get rid of it, things like that. So it's this mystery story as they're trying to figure out what this creature is, who summoned it, how they did that, for what nefarious purposes they did that, like how it all connects as like bodies are piling up. There's other ancient artifacts that are involved. So that's been really interesting to see, like there's a mystery involved. I don't know how much of this plot line will be resolved by the end of the book. So it's a good thing that I have the second book already, because I knew I would like Sarah J Maas's writing because of reading Throne of Glass. And so I just bought the first couple books. I want to wait until the third book comes out on paperback before I buy it, so it matches all of the books I already own. But who knows when that'll be, because I think the third book came out earlier this year. I'm really enjoying it. It does not feel as long as it is page count wise. Like I am flying through this book, though I'm on page like 258, 259 out of like 800. So there's a lot of book left to get to. The next package won't be open until page 462. So I've got a long way to go, like 200 pages. Yeah, 200 pages is about. So I guess you'll probably see a little montage of me reading in various places, and I will check back in with you when I'm getting close to opening the next package and I can fill you in on what's happening in this book. We just had a bomb blast. Totally caught me off guard. I've literally put this phone down for like 30 seconds. Crazy timing. What's really cool with this graphic audio is they actually have like the ringing in your ears sound as like the backdrop of all the voices that you hear talking to one another. Super cool. The graphic audio is a really neat experience.
Enlightened the darkness, so foolish we are. Still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've got
Muscles upon muscles upon muscles, all covered by golden brown skin that glowed in the first lights. It was outrageous. She'd seen him shirtless before, but she hadn't noticed. Not like this.
Hello. I am about halfway through this book. I'm on page 393 right now, and I am through the first half of the graphic audio, which makes sense, checks out. And I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the book so far. I've heard that Bryce is a very unlikable character. Now, I do have 2.5 books left in this series to get through. I'm wondering if that's more foreshadowing for the future, because right now she's just like a grumpy person who desperately needs therapy. She's very broken on the inside, and she puts up this tough exterior. So I guess she's unlikable, but like I also understand why she is the way that she is. But the Sphinx was very dramatic about Bryce and told Hunt to stay far away from her. So I'm wondering what the Sphinx saw in Bryce's future. If you've read the series, you might know of something. Please do not spoil it, because I do want to continue the series, especially because I already have book 2. We'll see when I get to it though. But I am just a little nervous at what's to come. Is Bryce going to do something I really disagree with? Am I really going to hate her as a character? Will she have a redemption arc too? If she does go the dark way, I don't know. I'm very curious to see what happens. As far as the plot of this book, it's not overly complex. They're trying to solve this mystery. I kind of talked about it earlier. They're learning more things about the horn and its potential abilities and what someone may be using it for. And so that's kind of helping us learn a little bit more about what's going on. I don't know if this mystery is going to span all 3 books, or if this is just the catalyst for what's happening in this book and we'll jump into something different in future books. I don't really know. But I like that there's kind of a mystery aspect going on as far as like what's moving the plot forward. I will also say that Bryce is really cool. They were at a shooting range and she outshot all the fae that she was hanging out with. Basically, she had 3 shots that from a distance looked like she only made one shot, but when you got close, you realized she just had 3 shots that close together. So she's an amazing shot. We shall see if that comes up later on, and if so, how. And then the last thing is we are finally getting some chemistry between these 2 characters. I knew it was gonna come between Bryce and Hunt. It was destined to be the way that this story is written. But finally we're seeing them like start to be like, oh, you're attractive. And they're not like acknowledging it, but they are maybe like tiptoeing into the flirty realm. That's been kind of fun to see that start to show up. This doesn't feel like I've gone through 400 pages. Like, it doesn't feel that long. It's been an easy read, not necessarily fast-paced, but not slow-paced either. Sarah J. Maas's writing style is easy to read and easy to kind of binge and get through. I am almost to the next package, which is on page 462, maybe? I can't remember, but I'm hoping to get to it tonight, so I'm gonna get in my jammies, curl up in bed, eat my ice cream. I've got my bowl right here, my salted caramel pretzel ice cream. So good. We'll see if we can open the next package tonight and see how far we get in our reading, because I have a pattern test to do. I'm testing a design for Janine Miska of Knits and Knots Winnipeg, something that'll be in her new book, but it's a garment, and I'm very far behind. It's due in 6 days, so I gotta get my butt moving. Like 10:30. It feels later than that. I worked a 12-hour shift today, and I realized as I was leaving that I'm not back tomorrow day shift. I'm back tomorrow night shift. So I'm trying to stay up as best as I can to kind of switch my body over to working tomorrow night. And we're gonna do that by listening to this book and doing a little knitting. I've got Alfred here with me, and I have wound up my main color, which you can't even see, but this dark blue, kind of a navy color called Nightfall. In this last package, we were able to get the pattern, and this doesn't contain any of the color work charts or anything, but it's the basic recipe for the sock itself. And comparing what's written in this pattern to the download that I already downloaded, it says in here to use a contrast color, but it says in the actual pattern to use main color, and based on our pictures, I'm just gonna use the main color for the cuff and then use all the contrast colors for the fun color work that is to come. I just wanted something easy. I'm gonna cast on and just knit my cuff. I like a cuff down sock. I know the math really well in my brain for my foot. So I'm going to do that. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna listen to this book. I brought my copy with me, and you know what? I should probably grab the next package because I'm on page 498, and the next package I think is on around page 557. I don't think I'll get to the last package, which is around page 700, but I definitely think I could get to this penultimate package. And I think that's the last contrast color too. We're just gonna be knitting on this cuff, reading this book. I am stuck doing the graphic audio, but that loan also expires in like 3 days. So I have got to get this book done. So let's do it.
Alfred, give me back my knitting. Give it back. Give it back.
All right, so my cuff is done. And I just opened the very last mini. It's this really fun hot pink. I'll have to show you all 5 of the minis together when there's better lighting. I don't really want to work on this anymore. So I feel good about doing the cuff. And tomorrow maybe I'll wind up the yarn. But I am ready to move on to another project. So I think I might just do some mindless crochet because I'm in a really good spot right now to work on that. And I will keep going in the book. I am on page 555. I'm gonna listen a little longer and then maybe I'll switch to a YouTube video. It's not even midnight yet and I'm really dragging. So we'll see how far I get. Bryce has some very maybe obvious flaws is a way to describe it. On one hand, she's very trusting of Danica, her friend, overly so. And as we're going through the book, we keep finding out things that make us question whether Danica was really that trustworthy. We keep getting responses that, oh, there's like a good explanation for like maybe why she did this, why she kept secrets, etc., etc. I'm not buying it. Bryce is trying to reconcile the Danica she knew and the Danica that's coming out as like secrets are being exposed. Another thing is that Bryce is trying to punish herself for being the only survivor. She feels like she should have been there with Danica and her pack because they are werewolves. That she should suffer as a result. Like she shouldn't be finding joy in things she used to love. She's quit dancing. She doesn't party anymore. It's a little hard to read because I see this sometimes in my patients. As a nurse, and I work with a lot of patients who've undergone trauma and the emotional impact of that trauma. And it doesn't happen often, but occasionally we get people who feel like they deserve the pain or the suffering that they go through. And you know, we do painful wound cares and we give them medicine to help, obviously, but it's not safe to give them so much medicine that they don't feel any pain at all. Some people will not communicate with us when they're feeling pain because they feel like they deserve it, which is really hard. So seeing Bryce experience that kind of connects to me in my job a little bit. I don't see it a lot, but I definitely do see it. So I'm interested to see her personal growth and how much she'll grow in this book versus in the series as a whole. He called her sweetheart. I had suspicions, but this goes way deeper than I thought. Hello. We are transitioning off of working a night shift. So I am here. I am appalled by what is going on in this book. We do not like Hunt Athlar anymore. I really wish I could work on my socks. I just barely started working on the color work. I made some changes to the colors I wanted to do for the actual color work. So hopefully I can work on that soon, but I really have to finish this test crochet project because it's due tomorrow, which means I need to get my pictures tomorrow, which means I have to finish this today. Working on my second sleeve. I did the first sleeve last night, so not super long because it's a short sleeve pattern. I'm on page 618, Mortal Peril. And we don't have all the mystery solved, but we have a lot of it solved. How do I summarize? I had some suspicions, but the suspicions I had didn't go quite as far as this book went. And kind of satisfying that a lot of what I thought was actually true. Poor Bryce. Hi, Alfred. He's feeling very lovey now that I'm awake. I really need to finish this book because I am returning the graphic audio for the second half of this book tomorrow afternoon. I'm trying to get through. Maybe right now I'll be able to get to the last package. So we'll have to see if I can get there. It's on page like 709 maybe. I'm enjoying these dill pickled pretzels because I've got a little bit more left to go. Oh.
Even with her ridiculous pictures and poses, that smile hadn't reached her eyes. But with each photo, more light had crept into them, brightened his eyes too, until those last photos, when Bryce was near glowing with joy.
Oh my gosh. Fury literally told Bryce not to do anything stupid. Oh my gosh. Crazy. What? Okay. There's a character who we have heard of and didn't get a name earlier on the story. I am mind blown by the reveal that just randomly got dropped of who this person is. And I love it. What the freak? Okay, some red herrings totally got me. Ah! Sorry, I'm an ugly crier. Lahaba, she said this. And I was like, oh, this is like a nice little quote. Because it's on the little tray that came in this package. But it means so much more. Hi, Alfred. I'm gonna need some snuggles after this. But on page 703, my friends are with me, and I am not afraid. This book went from like total devastation. I had like 150, 200 pages left. Ow, Alfred. In the past like 20 pages, things have totally ramped up. Stakes are super high. We're learning all sorts of things about the truth of what's happening. Mortal peril, like immediate mortal peril. I can't put this book down, but I have to because I have to go to book club tonight. I got my Yarnaceous book club pin. Oh, I love this. It's a bookmark of all of Sarah J. Maas's books, which I am here in the middle of Kingdom of Ash. And then I jumped ahead to House of Earth and Blood because that's what happened. I was intending to read A Court of Thorns and Roses first, but it didn't happen that way. And then I have the last part of the pattern. I haven't seen the color work. This is not the color work. This is just the foot and the toe. And I don't know if I'm missing a piece or if I lost a piece or what. I can just continue on the sock once I finish my test project, but got a beautiful bookmark. Oh, this is a quote.
Hi.
Hi. The back of this bookmark says, "The universe is massive. Some believe it has no end, or that our universe might be in a multitude, as bountiful as the stars in the sky or the sand on the beach." Cute. This is perfect. I can switch out the bookmark I have currently, which is my chicken nugget bookmark from Humdrum Paper. I know, isn't it silly?
Really silly.
So I'm gonna switch it out. I've got less than 100 pages left of this book. I don't know when I'll finish because we're busy this afternoon, evening. Maybe I'll finish tomorrow morning or tonight after bedtime.
Hi friends, and welcome about my house today. I YouTube videos, I still do. What a big coffee today. I'm very such a little fuzzy. It used to be a fuzzy, but I don't call it fuzzy anymore. When I found fuzzies, I called them pale. That's a really hard word. Pale.
You want me to be in your video?
Yeah, I invited you.
You invited me. Hi, sweet girl. And hi, friends.
They're my friends.
Oh, hi, George's friends.
When I have a sandbox, I'm going to get that for my birthday. I have got a bracelet. And I used to make bracelets at home. Now I don't. I need to pause it.
Well, if you can't pause it, you just stop it. Press the square. I have 40 pages left. Holy plot twist. This is intense. This is emotional. I'm gonna get ready for the day, listen to some more, see how far I can get. I'm getting so close to the end.
And then she said it, the 3 words that meant more than anything. She whispered them into his ear, sending them with all she had left in her. The final truth, the one she needed him to hear.
I have finished House of Earth and Blood. The last, 150 pages were wild, honestly. I can't even wrap my brain around it. Anyway, so I've already gotten my library hold for the next book in the series. Definitely going to continue on. The way that Sarah J. Maas writes is a high fantasy, but in a very approachable way, like a very approachable syntax, vernacular, etc., etc. Especially this one because it's an urban fantasy. It's a really easy book to get into. It did not feel like it was 800 pages, but we will talk more about that when I'm all done with this entire video. I'll do a little conclusion, share my thoughts, my ratings, etc. But I am glad that I have read it and I am ready for the next book. But let me show you the sock because I have actually made a lot of good progress. And I worked on this in the car recently as we were doing a drive, just looking at the fall colors. I have been just kind of bringing this around and puttering away at this, trying to get through the color work because I'm just kind of in a color work funk. So I wanted to get through the color work so I could get onto the fun stripes and things for this. And I finished the color work on the leg. Ta-da! I did change the colors up compared to what Julianne did for her socks because I wanted to do a gray moon. I wanted the wolves to be in Danica's colorway. And then I just kind of picked the other colors around that. And I love the blue that's like Rune's Blue Eyes blue, but I didn't want to have the blue and the gray because they're really close together. I didn't want them in the same color motif. So I'm going to use that beautiful blue color for the heel. The pattern is written for like a German short row or an afterthought heel, but those don't fit me as well. So I think I might do a heel flap and gusset, especially because we're gonna start doing some stripes. So it should be pretty easy to pull my yarn for that. So I might just do a heel flap and gusset because that's what I like. So I need to get working on this, make some more progress. I would love to finish this whole pair fairly soon so I can wrap up this video because if I only knit one sock and then I close out this video, who knows how long it'll take to get the second sock done. I need to do both. So we're going to be working on this today while I do some other audiobook listening. I'm actually listening to something unrelated, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore, and it is a quick read, cozy romance, vibey for the fall. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but that's why I'm doing the audiobook. So let's get some knitting done.
Waking up, it's gone. It leaves us feeling cold again. Picking up the stones, our hands were made to feel.
Hello. I wanted to give an update on my sock. I am almost done with the 5th stripe, and so I kind of went rogue, and I already talked about how I did the heel differently. But I just decided that I would do the color order based on the colors I chose for up top so I could cycle through them again. So I've got orange, gray, green, pink, and then blue because that's what I did. Orange, gray, green, pink, blue. Ooh, what a tongue twister. And so once I finish this blue stripe, I guesstimate that I have about 2 more stripes to go and then I can start my tote. So I'm making really great progress on this. Then I will have to cast on the second sock and I will have to get working on it because color work is just like not my friend. I'm not feeling it right now. I'm struggling with my tension. I don't want to do it, but I need to do it or else these socks are never gonna get finished. So making great progress, happy about that. Probably will work on it more later, but right now I've got some work to do. So I'm putting this aside and I'll be doing some other things.
We've got us. We've got us. We've got us.
Hello friends, it's been a minute, but I wanted to check in. I am working really hard on my second sock because I am ready to be done and moving on to something else, both with this video because it's just been kind of long with an 800-page book plus a pair of socks to work on. So I'm ready to be wrapping this up. I am on the heel of my second sock, which is exciting. So color work is all done, got it taken care of. We are at my in-laws today, which is why you can see the beadboard or whatever. The slats are blue. We do not have this at our house. I'm just taking a moment to catch you up. Next time I talk, I'll probably be closing out this video.
We've got us. We've got us. Yes! this for granted. Mistakes happen, you and I will learn. And moments like these days show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing. And still we've got us. Still we've got us.
All right, we are back. Let's talk about House of Earth and Blood and the Crescent Shadows sock pattern. Ooh, how to sum this all up now that we are at the end of Yarnaceous Fiber's book box for the first book of the Crescent City series, House of Earth and Blood. This was a very different experience for me. I mostly read the books included in this book box on Kindle, though I have listened to Dragon Tea. That was a shorter book, and so it felt like I got through that really, really fast. However, this book is almost 800 pages, and so it was actually a really good move to do this on audio, and I really enjoyed doing the graphic audio for this. I always really love Maggie's book boxes and the variety of goodies that are included. It seems like every book box is a little bit different, which is really nice that you can order multiple book boxes and get a different experience every time, but also know what you're expecting from the experience of opening this book box. So I feel like it's a good balance of every box feels new and a little different, but kind of follows the same structure and pattern of previous boxes. Let's talk first and foremost about what was included in the box, and not packaged up in any of the envelopes was this leather tray with "My friends are with me and I am not afraid." Oh, Lahaba. This book surprisingly made me cry, like more than I thought I would. This has been really nice to hold small things, especially with all the random minis from this book box. So this was actually really an intentional move, I think, and I really enjoyed this, and I could definitely see myself using it again. It does fold flat. Undo these clasps to make it take up a little bit less space if you're not using it. We also got another button, Yarnaceous Fiber's book club. We got the sticker that said, "Don't be an alpha hole," which is a specific phrase that Bryce Quinlan uses a lot. She rehearsed people as being alpha holes. We also got this bookmark of all these books from Sarah J. Maas, and I very recently finished Kingdom of Ash, and then I skipped ahead to House of Earth and Blood, so I definitely need to read through Akhtar still, and I want to continue the Crescent City series. And there's this quote on the very back that comes from House of Earth and Blood. "The universe is massive. Some believe it has no end, or that our universe might be one in a multitude, as bountiful as the stars in the sky or the sand on the beach." I don't remember when this was mentioned. I'm sure it was related to when I actually opened the package with this bookmark in it. We also got a couple cute little stitch markers, little stars, kind of thematic. And I love these like slip-on ones. You can't use them as progress keepers at all, but you can use them to mark maybe where you want to do an increase or decrease or things like that. We got this really cute little notepad. Crescent City Otter Messenger Service. Adorable. I wish there were messenger otters in real life. And a little lip balm. Little otter lip balm. Peppermint and rosemary. And coconut, kind of like the big notes in this little lip balm. So besides having those goodies thrown in, there was also a lot of yarn that was intended to be used on the Crescent Shadows pattern by Julianne Knitter Twin Stitches Designs. She's made a lot of sock patterns, and this is a sock pattern of hers. She slightly changed the name and slightly updated the pattern that's on Ravelry. So if you did get this box, I definitely recommend that you use the coupon code to get the Ravelry version of the pattern PDF so that you can have the most updated version. And all the changes are fairly minor, like which colors go where. There's also a cuff down and a tote version, so that gives you a few more options depending on how you like to knit your socks. I don't think I can remember which color is named which. So I'll have to put like a little video up here to show you which color goes with which tag, because I remember this one is Nightfall. This is the main color. I've got about 19 grams left of this. So this is a good size to use for another pattern as a scrap. I've got 5 minis, all really fun colors. And I remember that pink was Danica's color rig. This blue is based off of Rune's Eyes. And then one of these is called Bryce. That's all I remember, honestly. Oh, maybe this one is Star Sword? Sorry, I can't remember. But as far as those minis, I have quite a bit left. The smallest amount left in any of these is 9 grams. Largest amount is 13 grams. So I still have a sizable chunk, about 10 grams average between all of them. So I could definitely make a lot with what I have left. Depending on how big a sock you make, you'll definitely have plenty extra, which is really nice to know. The pattern, like I said, I downloaded the version from Ravelry that Twin Stitches Designs had up there. And so I refer to that more often than the paper pattern included in the box. I did find out there was supposed to be like an 8x11 paper with the colorwork charts on it that was like tucked underneath this tray. So I don't know if I accidentally threw it out, like if I thought it was a packing slip and I didn't take a good look at it, which would be totally on me, or if that paper got misplaced in packaging all these up or whatever. But it was an easy fix because I could just go to the Ravelry version of the pattern. I got all the other pieces of the pattern in my package, but I found it easier to read digitally than the paper copies. And I did vary a bit from the pattern. So I'll let you know what I did and how I followed the pattern and in what ways I deviated. This is the sock. I just blocked them, so they're still kind of wet. The contrast between the main color and these contrast colors is really intense. And while the blue and the gray look kind of similar, they are different. But I do kind of wish there was a little bit more contrast between those two. This blue as like more of a bright blue might have been really fun. But I did alter my colors on the color work compared to the actual written pattern because I wanted to handpick which colors I felt like fit the motifs best. So I made the Danica color what the wolves were because that made sense to me. I also made the moons like a gray silvery color. And then I decided that the orange would work okay for the stars, and I ended up just picking the green for the buildings. And so that's kind of what made me pick that. And then I just rotated through all the colors, moving through the foot and doing the striping, which is something that Julianne has been doing lately in her sock patterns, is doing some color work on the leg and then doing striping on the foot. I did the heel color in this light blue, and then I rotated from the top the orange, and then the gray, the green, the pink, and then blue again, orange, gray, and then if I needed it longer, I would have continued on in that pattern. I love having symmetrical socks, so I kind of wish I had even numbers of every color, but that's not how it worked. Maybe if I would make the sock again, I would use the main color for the heel and then stripe. I don't know exactly how I would change it, but something about this is not my perfect setup, but I still like it. And I did follow the pattern in doing the color stripes in 8-round increments, and I just arranged the colors in order from top of the sock to the heel. I do have both socks. I did in fact finish them. This is way taller of a sock than I typically wear. I would say my socks tend to end up like right around here, personally. So this will be a little different. It also is color work, and I am struggling a little bit with my color work. I don't know how well you can see in the tension, but my tension's not perfect. I definitely could keep practicing and working on that. So it was a good experience to do this. My tips for knitting color work that I'd recommend for this pattern: size up your needle. I think the pattern is written for a 1.5 millimeter needle. Oh my gosh, I'm saying millimeter. I meant US size. This pattern was written for a US 1.5 needle, but I like to knit my socks on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. And then I size up for my color work to a US 2, which I think is a 2.75 millimeter needle, if I remember correctly. And so just for the color work portion, I sized up my needle, but the cuff, the heel, and the foot were all done on a US 1. So sizing up your needle is a really good idea. Also, every like 3 or 4 color switches, I stretch out my knitting along the needles like as far as it can comfortably go, and that kind of helps things stay loose enough. I think that blocking also helps a lot with evening out some of that tension. Something I've also found that works well that I didn't do this time is using a 9-inch circular needle, and that way you don't have to worry about the beginning and end of your like magic loop or DPN or whatever having weird transitions between the needles. Sometimes things can get bunchy or things can get too loose, but having a 9 millimeter means that everything kind of is stretched out the same. Also, you can try knitting with the right side of your work on the inside of your needles, so the outside of your needles is actually the wrong side, and that also kind of stretches out your floats. So those are some things you can do, though sometimes that's a little finicky. I didn't decide to do that for this pattern because I did size up my needles. And I made sure to try on every like 3 or 4 rounds just to make sure that everything was going okay and I didn't have to rip back too far. And I did have 1 or 2 times when I did end up ripping back a few rounds because I found that I knit too tight and I had to change what I was doing. So just so you're not like knitting the whole leg of the sock and you tried it on and you can't get it over your heel, that is really, really sad. So I would recommend continuously trying it on and just being aware of how tight things are fitting and if it's going to get over your heel so that that's not a bad surprise halfway through your project. Like I mentioned, Julianne's designed a lot of sock patterns, and so it was a well-written pattern that had both the toe up and the cuff down constructions. So that was really nice to see. Oh, I guess I didn't talk about what else I did differently in this sock. Once I got to the heel, I totally put the pattern aside and I did my heel that I prefer. I did the way that I like to do my gusset and the way I like to do my toe, all of that based on my preferences from here down. The only thing I followed was having 8 round color stripes, which was suggested in the pattern. Finally, let's talk about this book. Like I had mentioned, I had been reading the Throne of Glass series from Sarah J. Maas, and I had been really enjoying it when I picked up this book for this video. I had this book already on my TBR, and so I was really excited I could get through a book on my physical TBR for this video and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. This is the first book in the Crescent City series, House of Earth and Blood, and this is in the same universe as Sarah J. Maas's other stories, but this takes place in a different world. As far as I can tell, there aren't really references to other stories, though there might be a couple Easter eggs, but it's in a totally different country, time period, city, etc. This book takes place in a city called Lunathion, or Crescent City, as people have nicknamed it. And it is an urban fantasy, but it's a very high fantasy, which is unique. A lot of urban fantasies I've read are lower fantasies that take place in a world like ours, but there are vampires like hidden in society kind of thing. In this one, there are humans, but they're a very small minority that have 0 power, and there are tons of fae and vampire-like characters, demon-like characters, werewolves, all sorts of interesting types of characters that you see in the society. But people also have like the anachronism almost of like cell phones and talking about university courses and things like that. It was very interesting to wrap my brain around such a high fantasy world that was also very similar to our own world, but with like different characters, different lore and backstory behind everything, but with society being pretty comparable to what our society is. And I think that that helped me, at least, to jump right into the story and feel like even if I didn't understand some of the names that were dropped or some of the lore that was introduced in passing at the beginning of the story, I felt like I could understand where the characters were, what they were doing, the choices they were making, and the characters felt really familiar because they didn't have like high fantasy attitudes. If that makes sense. And so it made it so that even from the beginning, I got the gist of what was going on, even though I didn't understand a lot of that like backstory that was happening. But this book also kind of looped back around to those things. And I think that if I started rereading this, I would get more out of it. But I also don't feel like I was missing out. I feel like I got everything I needed to understand and appreciate and enjoy the story. The way that the story is written, any kind of big truth bombs or even like hints of foreshadowing were kind of easy to spot for me as a reader, and so I didn't feel like I had to go back and reread some parts. It wasn't very subtle, if that makes sense. I ended up rating this a 4.75 star. I feel like urban fantasy is not my favorite setting. This is not a literary marvel by any means, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had so much fun reading this. It was a joy to pick this up whenever I did. I loved seeing the character arcs and seeing these imperfect characters and how they interacted with one another and seeing their growth. I also found that the mystery that was included in this story kept me strung along a little bit. I was caught by a few red herrings, and there were some assumptions or impressions I had about different characters or what was happening that were flipped on their head. And so I was blindsided by some plot twists, and that was just a really fun reading experience. If you feel like you would really like an urban fantasy with imperfect characters, but in a relatable way. I think that you might really like this story, and I'm really excited to continue reading this series. I absolutely love that for these book boxes, I've read books that I might not have picked up, or I might not have picked up for years, honestly, otherwise. And it's been so fun to see my reading tastes expand and to find what I enjoy about these books I'm reading, and that I've enjoyed reading these books and having a lot of fun doing this reading. I think it's kind of like doing a countdown calendar or an advent, that it's just really exciting to have these packages to open. It's a really good motivator to keep going. I like how everything is very connected. So, you know, you're reading a quote on the package and you open it up and you find something that's related to the quote on the package or what's happening in the story. It's just a really fun experience. And it's been fun to explore and experiment and just find a lot of joy in reading a variety of things. And I feel like that's the best part about reading. It's fun to read to learn something. And I feel like the most meaningful books are the ones that also teach you a little bit of something about yourself or about society, but like not in a head hammering kind of way. And this book really touched me emotionally, and it made an impact on me more than I thought it would. So I'm really excited to read the next book. I have the graphic audio from my library. My holds just came in, and so I'm really excited. The second half of the graphic audio just came out from my library. I have the second half ready to go and everything. I don't know when I'll get to the third book because the audio has been really helpful to get through such a tome, but I definitely plan on finishing it. And I think once I finish the Crescent City series, I'll go back and read ACOTAR and finish off my Massaverse experience. So let me know, have you tried any of these book boxes? Let me know what you think if you have. And if you have tried any book boxes from other makers, let me know, because I love to experiment. I've tried Woolberry Fibers Book Society boxes, and I've also been trying Yarnaceous Fibers Book Club boxes, and I would love to branch out now that Woolberry Fibers Club is finished. I love everything that has to do with books and yarn, and when book boxes from yarn companies combine it all, it's just such a fun time to meld my interests together. And I love having yarn inspired by the things that I'm reading. And if you've read Crescent City, let me know your thoughts, because this book impressed me in a way I did not expect. The last 150 pages made me cry multiple times. I could not put this book down. I was enthralled. It was such a fun ride to enjoy this book. I've got to go and get started on my next read. But until next time, happy making and happy reading. Bye!